Hey, welcome to Gong Jia Hui. Some fucked up shit happening in October. I generally like October a lot because it's to me I celebrate the month of horror leading up into Halloween, right? So I like to explore all the darker aspects of my own psyche as well as human psyche, right? The shitty things that exist within.
Why do
planet.
you think there's a propensity towards that?
Darkness follows me.
Psychoanalyze.
I mean, I know this about myself also. I had a pretty traumatic upbringing, not extreme like trauma or anything, but issues dealing with that issue there. My dog. Hey dog!
I think he sensed the darkness.
The darkness coming.
It's like, bro, get out of here, man.
Yeah, so I generally feel like because of my experiences when I was young, there were lots of dark aspects to encounter at an early age also. Shit like abandonment issues. Religion was a huge issue for me also. Religion and sexuality, another big one that fucked me
It's a
up
big
real
thing
good.
for everybody.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah, for a lot of people for sure. And so there are some traumatic aspects to my own existence, and I generally don't focus on them, right? I mean, I focus on them to heal myself, to make me a better person, to make me the best version of myself that I can be, lah.
Right.
But during the month of October or leading up into October, I tend to.
It's a celebration.
Yes, it's a celebration of darkness, and so all things in balance, some light, then there must be darkness. I like to go into it. I like to binge on horror, destabilize my psyche a little, start getting emotional. At night, huddle in a corner, cry, rock myself to sleep.
It's not life or fun.
Yeah. Right?
No excitement.
And honestly, it does like wonders for my own catharsis and my experiences.
Yeah, I mean, you emerge after it.
Yeah, you come out
You
of
learn
that.
something about
you
yourself.
learn something about yourself, something deep. Some darker aspect that might be hidden in your subconscious that's manipulating your current behavior.
Right.
And you can put a stop to that, and you can, work on that. That's why I like the month of October and going into this darkness. It's quite funny. I was watching the recent episode of American Horror Story. Their most recent season is they went back old school to like 70s, 80s slasher horror. So there's this like camp. It's always at the campgrounds.
Right.
And then the one killer will murder all the teenagers who are being naughty and who are experimenting sexually because it's against God and so they must die for their sins, right? And so the slasher will come and kill them in the mid-act of sex or some shit like that. But yeah, that's what they're going for in American Horror Story. They're putting lots of spins on it. It's quite interesting. Their killer is this guy called Mr. Jingles. So like when he walks around, he has this like bunch of keys on him, and so it produces the jingling noise, right? And yeah, he walks around and stabs people and blah blah blah. You get to find out more about the killer, and it's quite a big twist, lah. You should definitely check out this new season. And like the in the recent episode, the killer also mentioned like, why are you back here? Why do you come back to this place? You were gone for so long. And then the killer was like, darkness follows me. And yeah, I mean, this is not
like, shit that really resonates.
yeah, no, not the killer part resonating with me, please. I would like to clarify that. The fucking darkness part. And to some extent it does follow you. It does, like, because you're more receptive and more open to this concept of like possible bad things that can happen. So when somebody like me sees an individual quiet, sulking in a corner, broken, I notice these things, and I notice why they are behaving this way. And it's inevitable that I then try to help or try to find out, because I want to do that also, because I myself have suffered to some extent, and then I want to reach out to somebody who's suffering, you know.
Right.
So that's where the darkness comes from, lah. Like it will follow you, right? Because you're open to its trauma, it's the things that it offers, I guess. I don't know how to put it. I'm only a human, man, just trying to understand this all. But yeah, Halloween, man, interesting shit. Yeah, that's what I've been up to this month, destabilizing my psyche and psychoanalyzing myself. And it's quite poetic also, because I started school and then we're going through all these things, and during each lesson they offer you, you know, certain psychological theories and all that. And I mean, the best way to learn something is to apply it, right? So apply it to yourself. Go and understand yourself a bit better, you know. And I have awesome classmates. Shout out to my classmates if any of you start listening to this podcast, right? Y'all are pretty awesome people. So like something awkward happened, kind of awkward happened in class. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's like okay, maybe it's awkward on my like for me to put them in that position.
Okay.
I don't know. I felt like a
What
little bit.
What do you do
guilty.
this time?
So we have this lesson with this teacher who like she'll come 30 minutes earlier to the lesson and or stay like 30 minutes later after a lesson, just to discuss anything about class and outside of class.
Right.
So if you have like certain issues or things that you want to bring up, yeah, you can bring it up, and she will actually offer some, you know, advice and whatever lah.
Right.
And so like for the first few, I mean, everybody's kind of, you know, uncomfortable in the first few lessons. We all don't know each other, haven't even chat with each other or anything like that. So generally it's quite quiet, but then you'll have a few jokers that appear straight away lah. And then I had one classmate who shout out Brian, yeah, you the joker. Like within the first lesson already, she started like analyzing this guy, psychoanalyzing this guy, because he was bringing up stuff about trust, about lies and stuff like that lah. So she was like going into whether this guy, you know, had trust issues or, you know, was being lied to in past relationships and all that kind of stuff. And it was pretty fun. He has neither confirmed nor denied it.
No comments.
No comments on said subject. But I think that was quite interesting. He wasn't the one that actually encouraged me to speak up about what I said. There was this one group discussion we were having, and one of the girls in my class brought up her. She mentioned, I'm not going to mention names because I don't know if she's comfortable like knowing about this stuff and all that. But she mentioned something about abandonment issues, dealing with parents and stuff like that. And then I was like, whoa, like, yeah, I get that. Like, but at the same time, I was like, shit, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about my dad leaving the family or, you know, my own abandonment issues and shit like that. And then I was like, well, but she got a lot of courage, like to just bring this up, right? Like that, and not be afraid to bring it up.
She's probably worked through it already.
Yeah, or working through it, or something along those lines, yeah. And so I was like, shit, yeah, if she can have the courage to do something like that, then I should therefore have the courage to do something like that.
Why you want to salute?
I need to salute to relate. Yeah, but so like it wasn't in the same lesson, but like 2 lessons down, the most recent lesson that I had lah. And then I just like towards the end of class, I was like, because we were on the subject of attachment styles and attachment styles in adults. And so there's like what are the attachment styles? Let me just check.
Why you must refer to notes.
I next study. Okay, yeah. So there's like the secure attachment style in adults, where you have positive views of yourself and others, and you're unafraid to enter relationships and explore independently. Then there's
boring.
This is the super secure people. Yeah, no issues to work through. Congratulations. All right, wonderful for you. Also, fuck you. But then we have the anxious preoccupied, where they have negative views about themselves but positive views of others. So they want to seek comfort, closeness, and all that. But then they are very anxious and they worry about being abandoned and all that. So at certain times I'm like this. I'm anxious, preoccupied also. I'm worried about abandonment. I generally hold very positive views about others, and yeah, I will push my own negative issues about myself to look at myself like my own abandonment issues, and then I will postulate like how I will throw away this individual eventually or abandon them eventually, and then hurt them, and so I back out from a relationship because of that. Yeah, yeah. The yips, right? The unconscious behavior that I don't want to hurt anyone, I don't want to abandon anyone and do that to them. So I back out of it because I don't want to hurt them. Right?
Why do you think so?
That I'm gonna hurt them?
Yeah.
Because I'm afraid that my unresolved, abandonment issues are going to act up, and like I'm going to find reasons to, if they don't agree with my style of doing things or my concept
Right.
of relationships, then like I'm gonna push them
Right.
and then
So
eventually
that's
just
like
push
kind
them
of
out.
the script you wrote for yourself.
Yeah, or at least
Right.
I'm aware that that might be a possibility,
Mm.
but it may not happen, but
Right.
it's the unhealthy
It's
preoccupation with this.
it's also the availability bias because it's
Mhm.
your own experience. So that experience is like the strongest.
Yeah.
You would assign a higher probability of that happening because you've experienced it
Yeah.
yourself.
So yeah, from time to time, anxious, preoccupied. Then there's dismissive, avoidant, adults holding positive views but negative views of others. So you feel confident about yourself, but then you have negative views about others, and so you shut people out emotions, and you kind of say that relationships are not important. And I've caught myself doing this also, being dismissive and avoidant, right? Where I just constantly fixate on the negative aspects of the person that I'm dating, and then I'm like way too good for this shit, right? And then I blow my ego out of proportion, and I just therefore conclude that it's not worth pursuing this relationship, right? Because why waste my own damn time, right, with somebody with a lesser. I mean, this is a very extreme way of looking at it, but it happens from time to time in my own
But
life.
it's episodical, right?
Yeah, and I'm glad that now I see it when it happens. In my younger, like early 20s and stuff, I cannot.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
That
be
one
able to
thing
spot.
would kind of define the whole relationship.
Yeah, I couldn't spot these things. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
if you cannot spot, then like you start picking instances of like where you find like
that's why
the story connects. This dot connect to that dot connect to the other dot.
That's why.
Hence no.
And it's not healthy to do things like that. And this is like the yipsa that you were talking about, right? The uncontrolled behaviors manifesting from your subconscious and just affecting your own life and how you exist, right? And then the last one is fearful avoidant, where you have negative views of everything, both you and the other person. And you want to be in a relationship, you want to seek comfort in others, but then you send out very mixed, confusing signals that like it's push and pull constantly. Like at one moment you're like pulling closer and closer to this person, and then suddenly you just push away. And then
it's going too well.
Yeah.
Too soon.
Yeah, too soon. Something.
How can it be?
Yeah, back out now, danger. Right, and then boom. Right, you just avoid the whole thing. You cover in fear.
Isn't this the whole thing? There's like a book, How to End Self-Sabotage. There's all these programming you have in you.
That you have to undo, and that you have to be conscious of.
Like you have dreams, you have aspirations to have something better, but then it's in your mind, and that that scripting,
right?
The C++ code in you that
in your brain.
Yeah, it just prevents you from achieving that. Yeah, and even if there are instances where you have it deep down in yourself, you'd be like, I don't deserve this. That imposter syndrome,
right?
Thing, which is kind of prevalent now, right?
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I think,
and even in like people you see who achieve like really good things, great things, it still happens to them. And I don't know. It's how do you go around curing it? Not curing it, but start to make adjustments in your own mind to shut these voices up?
I mean, okay, like I would say I get where you're coming from, but I would say like shutting them up is
Not shut.
is dangerous. Like, so like you have to be aware of the voice first of all, right? You have to realize that this is something that happens, that this is something that you say, that voice says to you, and it's about knowing when to listen to it and then do something about it, not just shut it up, avoid it, and let it run into your unconscious behaviors and
Then you suppress
subconscious.
it.
Yeah, that one is scary.
Eventually,
Yeah,
the pressure build up.
yeah, and then you got to deal with another whole other traumatic psychological issue. So yeah, I think it's about realizing it, hearing it, and then knowing when it comes, right? And then learning how to say no to it, and like adjusting and changing the behavior
through it.
according. Yeah, working
Like,
through it.
yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that's why people seek therapy. Yeah, and that's why therapy is so important, because you need somebody to talk to work these.
If not,
these
it's
things
like
out.
vicious cycle.
Yeah, right. Of you just revisiting it, and then like what do you do with it, and then where do you go
then you
from
feel
there?
like the situation is hopeless because you really buy into that thing already.
Yeah, and like you feel that there's no way out from it. So get therapy. I really feel like that should be a mandatory process in the next 100 years or so. Like everybody needs to be assigned one therapist.
Yeah, it should be like a dental plan.
Yeah, correct. Like seeing the dentist for 6 months. Yeah, you do it with a psychologist.
If you take care of the teeth, you take care of the mind.
Same. In fact, the mind more important than the teeth. The teeth can rubber, you can get false teeth one.
Yes.
The brain rubber, you know, false brain.
You got no dentures for it.
Yeah. That one doesn't work. So see, like we place so much importance on things like that, but yet the fundamental, most important thing we kind of neglect sometimes when it comes to psyche and the mind.
Why is it the case? Is it because it's not as old or not as established a field? Dentistry is like,
it's been around forever, right? I think that's one of the reasons. Like definitely, because it's new. Another, scary thing is that it's scary. It's fucking scary to go and look at all your worms, that exist within you, and to actually take the time and effort to go and deal with these things, to work on these issues, as opposed to just fuck it, never mind, I just continue what I'm doing, it's fine. I'm happy. You tell yourself that you're happy, or you tell yourself that this is okay, this is the way it is. Yeah, it works for some, but it can always blow up in your face, or at the same time, I don't know, maybe you see a lousy therapist and then that therapist just fucks you up even more, or I don't know, man. Or
no license.
Unlicensed therapy.
Like us.
Yeah, like us. Like you're listening to us. Or no license on.
No license on you. Don't listen to us talk up, okay?
Yeah, we're driving reckless now. Finding the right therapist is also important. My teacher mentioned this also. Like, she has her own fair share of trauma and all that also growing up. And like she's been jumping from therapist to therapist because certain therapists just don't fit her style, like just don't gel well together, just can't resolve the issue together, just doesn't work. Yeah. So I think finding different ones is important. Going from place to place is important. If you find a doctor that doesn't work for you, then you need to find a different doctor. It's as simple as that. It's just doctors of the mind. Oh, let's talk about Gelang Methodist Secondary School.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I've actually never seen the video.
You never seen the video?
I've never seen the video. Why though? It's also hard to say what happens at home, right? Like what happens behind closed doors.
So another dark aspect of October is the Gelang Methodist Secondary School boy slapping his mother.
They don't play mother.
But he play mother.
He play his mother.
Yeah, that's why. Jialat, man. If any of you haven't seen the video, it's of this like Gelang Methodist Secondary School boy at home. And I think the whole situation was about shoes that the mother bought him or something like that. But he was slapping the mother around, like just physical abuse. It's very, very disturbing, like the way he's just hitting the mother and all that. It blew up quite a bit because I have a few students from Gelang Methodist Secondary
Oh,
School.
they know
also.
the guy.
Yeah, like it blew up in GMSS. So in GMSS, it was really bad. Like people were sending fucking death threats and just all out wanting to beat up this guy and all that shit. And
I don't get death threats. Like, also not your
Yeah,
mother.
no,
Like,
no.
death threat. What? Fuck. Like, you get what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
I
it's
get what you mean.
you already, yeah. It's not your
Yeah,
mom.
it's not your problem to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, butt out of it. Like, you know, to me, right, all these death threats and all this like doxing, release the guy's address, or fuck this guy, he whack his mother, we go send 10,000 pizza to his house. I don't know what the fuck you want to do with that information. But the point is, like, you have to take a step back and realize your ego, your self-righteous bullshit. Like you're in this instance willing to come out and say you want to kill this man. It's like the dude that slapped Amos Yee. You know, there's some level of self-righteousness that you feel you are in a position to say that this is not how to be. This is not how. Of course, it's not how to be, not how to do things. You shouldn't slap your mother, but you don't know the circumstance of this individual. You don't know his upbringing. You don't know his family background.
Then like that, you also self-righteous.
What? Me,
Calling
those
people
people out for being self-righteous and
that's
egoistic. I'm the
Meta
Omega, motherfucker. Listen to me. I know what the
meta
fuck.
self-righteous.
Yeah, to some extent, that's my ego in play, shutting your ego down. Okay, so listen to
And
my
me
ego.
calling you out is also
Is your ego shutting my ego?
damn.
What the
that's deep.
fuck is going on? Oh shit. Okay, yeah, but fine. I'm just saying that you're self-righteous, right? You feel that, you know, you would. I get that you wouldn't do something in that situation, but take a step back and offer some like perspective for this guy. You know, why he is physically abusing his mother. Like, what kind of upbringing would he have to have you know, this be the norm, right? Where your mother is talking to you about shoes and shit, and then you're just slapping her around. Like, what the hell?
Do you think it's learned from the mom?
Maybe, yeah.
Like, because when he was younger,
like that's what she did. Like, she talked to him about his shoes and slapped his head. I don't know.
Not for us to say.
Yeah, we can only speculate. But there is some like red flags that you immediately start noticing just by the video itself. How the fuck did this video come about? Why was this video even released? And then you dig a bit deeper and you realize, what the fuck? It was his stepfather, either his father or stepfather. This is clearly like CCTV footage in the house, or somebody just deliberately recording this whole shit, going down. And then, like, why would this individual want to release this to the public? And then you find out it's the dude's own father, stepfather, whatever. And this guy is just now putting this in the open for everyone to see, the level of humiliation and shit that this boy is going to have to deal with. I want to slap the person releasing this video also. Okay, that's my ego coming up.
Slap everyone.
I'll slap everyone. I slap myself as well, whatever. Right? Yeah, it's fucked up, right? So that mob mentality, that vigilante justice kind of. I mean, I feel it too. You know, I feel it also. Like when we talk about the pedophiles and all that, and wanting to slap them and tell them to wake up their idea, right? That's
when, I mean, whatever content you see on the interwebs, it's meant to induce some sort of chemical in your body.
And in some level of like hatred and all that. Yeah, and a lot of it is out of context. You don't really know what's happening.
Here's a piece of information.
Yeah, do what you want with it.
Do what you will with it.
Or more like go crazy with it. You know, knowing the way people kind of function, you know, when you see something highly upsetting.
And that's the shitty thing about social media.
Yeah, it just feeds on this.
I give you an image of this wonderful life that this other person
and then now let me give you this image. And then boom, you go down a spiral. I mean, I've been victim of it also. Like I didn't even know, but there was this pretty popular video of like I think it wasn't a Singaporean Indian, but Indian national like berating a security guard about the $10 entrance fee
Right.
thing. Remember that shit?
Yeah.
Right. So like immediately when you see a video like that, you're like, oh fucking hell, this guy, right? So damn proud, right? Berating this poor security guard and blah blah blah. And then that was the video, right? You have no context of why this video was released or what happened and all that. And that's why I was talking about it. And I think one of our friends mentioned what the actual situation was behind it, and that he was having guests over and they were expecting him to pay like a $10 fee for each guest that came into park or some shit like that. So if you have 15 people there, then you have to throw what, $150 just like that. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. That's ridiculous. I would be losing my shit also. And that's why that guy was losing his shit. Right. And so yeah, then I understood the context and I was like, oh shit. Yeah, see, so like,
now who's right, who's wrong?
Yeah, who's right, who's wrong. Yeah. Right. So yeah, I guess it's the takeaway. But if you wanna get justice, go about it the right way. Like this vigilante justice and doxing people and putting their information all over the internet, online and all that, it's not healthy, man. It's not a good way to go about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you seen the documentary on Netflix about social
Oh,
media?
the social media dilemma, is it?
I think so.
Something like that.
Yeah.
The social
where
dilemma.
they got the kind of like the C-suite people from a lot of different social media on that documentary, and they were talking about the effects it has on you when you're scrolling, and the whole system, the algorithm just reinforces what you're looking at, and then that whole Cambridge Analytica fiasco. Interesting.
Go check it out. The social dilemma. It's you need to be aware of it, lah. People, everyone now in this day and age, moving into the future, young parents,
young kids,
very dangerous. Like what the kids are exposed to. People listening to this, kids listening to this, like
even adults listening.
Even adults listening to this, you really need to be aware of like what social media does to your brain and how it manipulates your thought processes and all of that.
Hijacks the dopamine.
You need those incessant likes. It becomes an addiction. Scary, man.
Just turn your screen into black and white.
Can just get rid of the phone.
Just get rid of the phone. What's that? 3310.
Yeah, Nokia old school. I think recently one of my students, like younger students, brought one of those phones.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why? Because of the parents? Huh?
Yeah, the parents like want her to like call them after class and stuff like that, but then don't want to give them a smartphone because they're still too young for like smartphones. That's good parenting right there. Right? You need to avoid that. Right? Like giving in to your kid just because everybody else has the same thing. That's fucking dangerous, man. Yeah, social media needs to be like, honestly, it's like needs to be like 18 and above. Then only you can use it.
But it's also such a new thing. We've only started to learn what are the negative effects.
Why it has uncharted waters.
Yeah.
Uncharted waters. Very hard to deal with.
Different type of nuclear fission.
A scary kind, man.
It's like a social nuclear bomb.
Yeah. Just waiting for some shit to go wrong and something to happen, and then melt down. But yeah, let's hope it doesn't get to that stage. I think like having social media cleanses in your weekly schedule or like monthly schedule, like just 1 week without social media and all that. I think that's actually quite healthy. So just
do intermittent fasting.
Of
social media.
Social media, yeah. It cannot be a constant thing that you're going through, that you're looking at.
Yeah, that's why there's like timers on your phone that kind of lock out certain apps.
You should use those.
Or sometimes you just like, fuck it.
Okay, what?
Like it limits the thing, then you like ignore. So you
okay.
can still go and
right.
Because that's what I do. Speaking of phone, did you read the thing about the new iPhone?
No, what? What about it?
So it's gonna come without headphone.
Okay.
Because usually when you buy a brand new phone, that's the headphones that's included inside. So there's no no headphones now.
So you're just gonna
So
have to pay
previously
more
you
money.
had no headphone jack.
Okay. Now they removed
no
the-
home button.
Okay.
Now you got no headphone.
Nice. Good job, Apple. Suckering your users into just paying more for shit and giving them the same shit over and over again.
It's basically the shit.
Yeah, man. All right. So I really can't stand like Apple. I really don't like them. They're really selfish. And they just they just remove something or make it different and then build an adapter for it. It's like very counterintuitive, but then people still lap it up because it looks cool. It's
It does look
trendy.
cool.
Right? I mean, it's really sleek and nice looking. But fuck it. I hate Apple stuff. Man. Oh wait, so no, we never actually. Okay. Back.
We didn't even
back.
answer.
So the weird thing I did in my class was that weird. That did I even mention what was a weird thing I did?
I don't think.
Fuck. Okay. So yeah, got the courage. At the end of class, like she was asking anybody want to discuss anything and all that. So I brought up the attachment styles. I was like, sure. If you realize you fall under fearful avoidant, because that's the one I'm most afraid of. Like that's the one that where everything is like negative,
Right.
negative me, negative person, negative, like maximum. So I scared. I asked her if you realize that you are on that end, right, and you realize that this is affecting your relationship, and then I brought up because I know myself, right, it's stemming from my abandonment issues, which is I didn't give any more details in the class chat there. I mean in the classroom lah, and then but it's to do with my dad and all that shit lah. Okay, now I'm telling you,
Okay.
but I didn't mention that to them. Right, so I just say abandonment issues. And then after I was like, and then, I tend to back out of relationships like in similar fashion when things are going down and I notice that fearful avoidance pops up and all the others pops up, blah, blah, blah. And so she was like, okay, I see where you're coming from, blah, blah, blah. And she talked about the fact that you acknowledge the behavior is a good thing, blah, blah, blah. Ultimately get help lah. You need to work on therapy to resolve these particular issues lah, which is good advice. I mean, it is what it is lah. But then like I realized like everyone in the class, there were a few people in the class like thank you for sharing stuff like that. Then I got a few like private messages from people talking about it takes a lot of courage to share stuff like that, and I hope you feel better, and I hope you work through your issues and all that stuff. And so it felt bigger than just like I felt the interaction I might have put people in a spot. Like they don't want to listen to my bullshit, but then they have.
What do you mean don't want to listen to?
Like why I get so personal, why I get so in detail. I don't know. I felt like
when
it was positive reinforcement from everyone generally,
right.
But then I felt like I might have weirded them out or put them in a weird situation. Like, okay, if you were my classmate, you didn't know me at all.
Right.
And then you had to hear that. But take note of the context. Like, it is a psychology lesson. It is a...
You went off the deep end for them.
Yeah. I wanted to showcase like an aspect of myself that I've discovered over the past, because a lot of them are also in their early 20s. They're like 22, 23, the boys, just out of army. Right? The girls I'm expecting is finished poly or JC, so they're like 20, 21. I see a few older individuals there, but I think I'm one of the oldest, like at 30.
Right.
So like I want to help them understand like that it with great power comes great response.
Hey, you mother. Okay, show's over.
So yeah, I just had to bring it back there. But like don't abuse it. Like be careful with it. Yeah, discover as much as yourself about you as you can. But don't. I think one of the...
Okay, I don't get how they got weirded out.
It wouldn't be, is it? Because I don't know. This is from like my point of view, and then I'm just being like self-conscious.
Okay, no. How did you bring it up?
Like that, I said like I noticed this about myself.
It was like at the end of the class.
Yeah, end of class already.
Y'all can fuck off.
Yeah, correct. Like nobody had any questions to us.
Okay, then out of the blue, you just like...
Yeah, I was just like, Rachel, I want to talk about like attachment styles and something I noticed about myself. And then... or I think I didn't mention about myself, but obviously I'm going to use me as a case study, right? So so I don't know whether that's obvious or not.
whether it's about you.
Yeah, like are people comfortable hearing about stuff like this, like at a psych class? Is it too weird if you listen to somebody
Like,
talk about abandonment issues or having bad relationships with
okay,
their
for them,
parents and all that?
the frame of reference for them is like it's a class. Then they just take it strictly as a class. I just want to learn the material.
But I feel like it's not really like that also. Like there are those who like comfortable enough, but it seems to be in a joking way because like with that Brian guy, right? And then he's just joking about and people will put on the chat like they understand that it's joking. Like they will say, "Oh, Brian has issues that he needs to work with," you know.
Right. But it's like
it's like play, you know, there's still humor
okay.
and all that. But when I did this thing, right, it felt like I don't know, it felt like uncomfortable.
They felt your pain.
I don't know.
I feel like shit, man. This uncle has seen some shit.
I don't know, man. So that's how I'm just wondering whether that was like, should I have gone there? Like, was that a weird thing to put everybody in place? Okay, and then I messaged the group also, like after that, because like
don't care.
Because yeah, I mean I shouldn't care about it, but
it's like everybody's learning experience is different.
Yeah, I guess no lah. I guess it's fine. You wouldn't. I mean, you think like you wouldn't mind hearing about that shit, right?
Yeah.
It got personal.
I mean, I know you lah. If someone else did it, I'll be like, oh, fuck.
That's true. Yeah. So I mean, I wanted to make it personal lah.
Right.
I think one of the biggest things I want to share is like the whole be careful with what you do with psychology lah. Because when I first explored it, I don't know, like you explored it pretty early also, right? Like how old were you when you started taking your psych?
How old?
Just after army, right? We were 20, same time lah. It should be about
this. Psych.
Because you went over to US ma. So I don't know the time frame and reference of you learning psych. I know I was intrigued after army, right? Same lah. So when we were 21, 22, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine, 21, 22.
Yeah, same. Oh no, mine a bit older.
23.
Yeah, 22, 23. Because I took a gap year. Okay. I remember. Yeah, I was just working and then after that. Oh really? Oh, then same. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, like when we were introduced to that, when I was first introduced to it, and I started psychoanalyzing like myself and people around me, I was quite angry and petulant about it because I understood my trauma now.
Okay.
And I understood where the people who caused my trauma fucked up.
Okay.
Which is their parents are, right? So the first thing you always look at is like my upbringing, right?
Right.
Why did I come out the way I did, or like, you know, why am I the way I am now because of my upbringing? Like what aspect of that had to play with how I am now? At least that's what I did. So I don't know, like when you started looking at your sense of self, right?
I don't think I was conscious of the fact I was using what I learned in class to think about those things.
Okay.
I think I learned the lessons, whatever, that I needed to in class.
Okay.
And then for me, whatever, I guess whatever gets learned gets applied lah.
Okay.
So it kind of by diffusion got into how I was thinking about things. Not specifically like, oh, I learned about this particular subject. Then I directly apply to whatever I'm feeling. Maybe I'm deluded by the lessons already.
So like, have you ever looked at an aspect of your personality or self and like gone into a quirky trait perhaps? Like, let's say you have a bad temper, right? A really, really bad temper. Like, do you apply that aspect of like whatever you know with childhood psychology and all that and look at parental
mirroring?
Okay.
Like from whether conscious or not, you mirror after your parents. Because that's like your most readily available example when growing up. Then you by them doing what they're doing and you observing them, you kind of learn what happens when you apply a course of action to this situation. Then that's the result you're gonna get.
Right.
And then I think that follows you for quite a big chunk of your life lah. Then until you go into higher learning where you learn about all these things, then it gives you a different set of lens already. Whether or not you specifically apply it onto
want to use
onto
that
the
lens,
episodes,
right? Yeah.
you have that knowledge already. So it's
It trickles in.
your line of questioning, your line of thoughts,
Right.
that chain of thoughts is going to be applied using those principles.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Yeah. So okay,
I
like
forgot what question.
no, it's okay. I'm actually going back to that. So like, okay, so have you ever like then therefore like because you mirror your parents and all that stuff, right? And have you ever therefore like blamed them or been angry with them for something that happened like in the past that made you a certain way, or something in their behavior that made you a certain way, and you kind of don't like that aspect of yourself or something like that, and do you blame them for it? Do you get angry at them for it?
I think instinctively is to get angry.
Okay.
First thing you like realize that, hey, fuck.
Right, that because like that, right?
How come like that?
Yeah.
because your parents was
like that.
Yeah. But I think I moved past it really lah. Like so now it's like, hey, you catch yourself feeling that way, and like, oh well. Like how are you going to have it another way?
Right. You can't undo
unless
that.
you have different parents lah.
Yeah. Which is no.
Fucking impossible.
Yeah, it doesn't happen in existence. Yeah.
Then you come to a very, I wouldn't say zen lah, but an acceptance.
Acceptance, yeah, exactly.
It's how you deal with it after that kind of defines you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess learning about psych just gives you that awareness, which I mean a lot of people they want to get into that because of what it gives you.
Yeah, I mean that's the reason why I'm asking you that question, because like now at this age at 30, right? Yeah, I've come to accept like almost everything, although certain things still pop up from time to time.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you this because like in my early 20s when I first found out, right, because there was quite an extension and a substantial amount of trauma, right? So the anger was extreme, and so I lashed out at like my mother mainly heavily. So it's it's a thing I regret. I've forgiven myself for it. I've moved on from it. I've spoken to her about it also. I've apologized. I've tried my best to undo whatever damage I did and all of that lah. Yeah, so like I want that message to go out to people who are just, discovering it, or if you're in your early 20s and like you start studying psych or something, like try to curb that, or try to realize that it can be a very dangerous thing that can make you feel a certain way.
Right.
Yeah. And I guess that's why I got so personal. And that's why I wanted to bring that up in class and all that kind of stuff.
I think that happens when you get into like self-judgment. Like when a certain thought comes up, like how would I put it?
You mean judgment of the self back in our early 20s or now 30s?
30s.
In our 30s. Okay.
Looking back
at what we've done. As an
what,
adult, as an early adult.
At what happened and how you felt when you were experiencing it.
Okay.
So you judge your past self.
Definitely. So, I mean, you learn so much more about yourself now also, right? Judging by how you responded to situations back then.
Looking back, you're like, how can I do that?
Yeah, why so childish, right? Yeah. I could have handled that way better, like in a much emotionally stable and healthier manner.
Yeah, but you were younger.
Yeah, you were younger, exactly.
So it's not allowing yourself to judge that now. Like, can you imagine you hold yourself to the same standard you are now?
As you were back then. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's stupid. You just keep beating yourself up about it. So in that sense, the self-judgment.
Yeah, it's like that quote I told you about. Is learn.
You're gonna stay now.
No. Not that one. Is the one about you find some sense of like peace and love if you learn to love all your past selves. Something like that. Yeah. It's like learning to forgive that your past self did something like that, and then moving from that.
Just not beating yourself up about it.
Yep, exactly that. Yeah. But yeah, it's like, you see, it's like so much easier said than done, right? Just forgive lah. It's like okay, right? So casual, right? But it's something, it's something so difficult to deal with. Oh, and that's why I love that that film. Okay, so October, month of horror film. Okay, so A Dark Song. Remember there was one night I told y'all, like, oh shit, it was on this night. It was on the day that I messaged y'all about attachment styles, and I was
Okay.
asking your opinions on attachment styles,
Mm.
right? And then I don't know, the chat eventually, I can't remember what the fuck everyone said, but then eventually we were on like witches and the
Okay.
persecution of witches, and I think it was a top 5 documentary that I shared with y'all. How sad that witches had to die and all that shit. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna grace tonight with A Dark Song. Right? So I went to watch A Dark Song, and it's a film about a mother who lost her child, and she's seeking out a priest, a witch, a male witch, right? This priest who will help her do a ritual that will grant her one favor by her guardian angel. It's about asking this guardian angel one favor. And apparently, this is a real Wiccan ritual. It takes 8 to 18 months to complete. So there's a lot of spell casting, fasting, all sorts of shit. It brings you to the brink of your madness and insanity also to cast this spell. Yeah, dude. 8 to 18 months. There's some new level in Arkham Horror with the 9 class modifier. GG, man. Yeah, so 8 to 18 months to complete this spell. And because you're summoning your fucking guardian angel, right? So you summon your guardian angel, and the priest who helps you with this spell also gets a favor from this guardian angel. So yeah, lor. And that's what the show is about, lah. And okay, but the thing about this spell is that you have to be absolutely certain about what you want.
Mm.
Otherwise, it's very dangerous, and it may summon other things.
Okay.
Right? If it's like darker things that you want, then demons are there to do your job. You can summon them, you can command them also with this spell. Right? And the priest in this show has done it before.
Okay.
He's commanded demons and shit like that. He's done dark stuff before.
Mm.
And yeah, so you have to be like very clear what you want. So this mother, right, and her losing her child, she's super conflicted about the whole thing also. She starts off by telling him that she wants revenge. She wants to kill all the kids that, okay, so apparently like they kidnapped her kid after school, and then they just murdered the kid or some shit like that. And she wasn't there to pick him up. And so there's that whole trauma that she has to deal with. So yeah, and she after a while, then the guy says like, vengeance, no, fuck it, I'm not doing it, because that's the darker side of it, and he doesn't want to summon demons again. And then like she's finally like, he's gonna give up and all that, and then she finally breaks down, and then she says the real truth is, I want to forgive myself. And then okay, the guy's on board. And so they go through this whole thing, and throughout the movie you watch the process of them doing this thing, and their minds, the limits that they are pushed to, and all of that. And yeah, it's really damn interesting. And towards the end, you get to see the mother just be so conflicted about forgiveness, about revenge, about vengeance, about like she just doesn't know like also what she wants. And it's a journey for her to figure out what she wants during this whole.
That's the hero's journey.
Yeah, correct. And eventually you get to see the outcome. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but worth it. I'm gonna have to say worth it. It's definitely, yeah. So that show, about the journey to forgiving the self and forgiving the people around you, and forgiving or finding vengeance instead, right? To want to destroy and just be angry and hateful and spiteful at the things that went wrong. Yeah, that. So that journey is like a difficult one.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not straight up the grieving process.
It is. For
Like the different
her.
stages.
Yeah. For her, there's that element also of the grieving stage, but it's more fixated at the. I guess acceptance would be the forgiveness. Like if you accidentally, like in her case, I mean, it's not her fault that the child died.
Right.
but then it's kind of her fault that the child died, so there's that. And like accepting that, learning to forgive yourself and not blaming yourself and accepting that's
right.
that's what happened.
It's not as simple as whose fault is it.
Yeah, correct.
But whatever's happened already.
Yeah. And hopefully you recover from that. Yeah, and that's why I watched the film. I was like, damn. I needed that reminder also. Yeah. Right. And that's why I love horror, man. That's why I love Halloween. Because it gets you thinking about these things, these scary things. Yeah.
Yeah, your classmate listen to this podcast and be like, what the so that's where he's coming from.
That's where I'm coming from. That level of darkness, right? It's necessary, man. Balance, man. All things in balance. Light and dark. Yeah, karma, just choose which way you want to walk. Just be on the right path. That's the most important thing.
Or no path.
Or take no path. Just sit there and meditate all day. Just ascend to some other path.
Just ascend.
I mean, that's why so many of those like monks and Buddha himself, right? Isn't that what he did? He just meditated and ascended.
Yep.
Disappeared, right? Into the force like Yoda at the end.
Yes.
Right? Maybe that's the truth. That's the way to go. That's the ultimate answer to existence.
That's one way.
That's one way. So wait, let me get into closing speech. Yes. Okay, so we back once a motherfucking again. We probably gonna delve on some heavy subject matter. I want to get dark and scary and horrifying.
Why? October finishing.
Yeah, I know, but I'm recording this in October, so you'll probably listen to it around Christmas. Let's have a bloody Christmas. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it just got heavy and darker for this first podcast because October, man, I gotta bring it in like that. I love Halloween, love horror, love death, love destruction, love rage, all of it. So Guy, you need to be the light in the podcast. I'll be darkness in this one.
Light.
Oh fuck! You realize our microphones?
Why?
I just realized I said like I need to be dark. I'll be dark, and then you be light, right?
Yeah.
And then like your microphone is a black microphone, and my microphone is a white microphone. And right now it's exactly like yin and yang, even down to our skin color, bruh. This is
new branding.
Yin and Yang podcast.
Are we changing the show?
For this month, no. This month our season is Yin and Yang.
Okay.
That will be our season 2.
Balance.
All things in balance.
Everything in balance.
So okay, depends on how dark we want to go. So what we're gonna talk about next in our next podcast.
Dark. What are some dark?
Actually, we went through pretty dark stuff today. Like fucking Amos, child porn. What the fuck, man? Fuck. I need to cleanse.
Whoops.
I need to go cleanse my psyche. Emotional trauma, forgiveness, vengeance, my issues. Thank you for giving me time to air my issues out in public. This is exactly what they tell society not to do. Don't air your dirty laundry in public.
Dirty laundry.
Fucking no manners one. This is how I do. Okay, this is how
That's
I
how
do.
he do.
But yeah, okay. Don't judge. No, I judge her. I don't care.
No.
Judge her. Just, it's free, man.
He feeds off the judgment.
No,
Give me it.
Yeah. I mean, whatever, man. Listen and form your judgments and do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. If you're listening to this, means it's awesome already. Judge me all you want. Call me a douchebag, piece of shit. Doesn't matter.
Why would it warrant a douchebag?
Douchebag or piece of shit? Because these two assholes.
Joe Rogan wannabes.
Yeah, Joe Rogan wannabes, right? Sitting here talking about child pornography and shit to gain subscribers and likes. But we talk about it for a reason, okay? And It's a-
and
it's a-
what reason is that?
it's a good reason. The reason is to get more subscribers. Okay. Yeah. So judge. That's a douchebag piece of shit. No, okay. It's not about likes and subscribers. I'll
It's about money.
it's more about money.
Just give us some money.
It's about fame and fortune. That's what it's really about. It's
Wow.
about babes.
It's about babes. It's about
Like when
power.
yeah.
About power.
power. It's about power. It's like when women listen to this podcast and my sexy sugary voice, right? They
South
Yeah,
shall be wet.
I get and that's it. I get more women that way, right? Also, when I do my famous that shit gets them crazy. They like that shit. Oh fuck. Okay. So yeah, I think this has been season 2. This has been first episode of season 2.
First episode.
Yeah, of the Yin and Yang
Maybe no more subsequent episodes.
of the Gong Jiao Wei Yin and Yang
Show.
I don't know what's our name going to be. But yeah, I hope you all had fun listening too. Also, you will not hear about my daddy issues because I'm not going to tell you on air. Okay, that one for me and my friends to know. Fuck off! Kidding. Bye.
Bye.